Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's up? You doing okay, buddy?
No. This might be my worst fantasy football season ever. I have 6 leagues and I have a winning record in just one, and I'm going to be transparent with you.
It's probably not what you want to hear if you're listening to us.
That's really
it makes you feel better. I'm doing pretty good in my leagues for the most part, except 10-man band dynasty.
How can we spend the whole offseason having the same opinions, but then have all of our teams be totally different?
I think it's because most of it is dynasty. So, like, we have, like, a set roster in those ones. My redraft leagues aren't doing great. I'm, like, 500, so.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to turn it around. Monday Night Football is tonight because we pre-record this show for Tuesday release. But I need Mike Williams. Once again, I don't want guys to get hurt. But, like, if Mike Williams could, like, stub his toe before the game and just not be in a good state to play, and then Cortland Sutton drops 20, I'll win. So, like, you know, it's just a little toe stub for the game.
Well,
not a long-term injury.
Right.
You know, just 1 week.
Just a little one of those, like, injuries that he's questionable to return all game and then just doesn't.
And it just doesn't, yep.
I will say, you know, this is pre-recorded, so we don't know, but Patrick Surtain should be lined up against him, so that's a hard matchup for him.
Yeah, Denver, good defense. Every time Mike Williams plays Denver, though, for some reason he drops mad points.
Well, that's not good for you. And Keenan Allen is still out. So.
Oh, my gosh.
So he could get, like, 14 targets.
There is a reasonable reality where, like, if Mike Williams scores 6 to 8 points, I can still get, like, 25 from Cortland Sutton and win.
Yeah.
But you know, like, playing with these realities and then them not happening makes it hurt even more. So if I accept reality now, I'll be good. But anyway, welcome to the show. Hopefully you enjoyed week 6. We are going to talk about week 7 waiver wire, give you a recap of last week, break down all of the fun things that went into this week, and talk about, you know, how you can improve your team at the end of the show with the waiver wire. I'm really excited to talk about one particular player at the wide receiver position because I believe.
Okay.
So we'll see who that is later. But before we jump into that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Click the bell for notifications, like and comment down below. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms, please leave a review and share the podcast with your friends. Let's get started with real or fake. Typically, Rick and I take forever on this. And every show, I say, you know what? It's going to be faster this time. It's going to be faster.
Yeah.
But because I spent 4 minutes complaining about my freaking fantasy teams, I didn't even complain that much. I mean, last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, my team was just in such a bad state. I complained the whole show, and then I got to starts and sits, and I was just done. My brain turned off. I was saying players were playing against the wrong teams. It's just horrible, horrible stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can keep it on the rails today because I woke up this morning and, you know, you get that feeling. You lose a bad game in fantasy and you're like, ugh. You wake up the next morning and you're like, did that happen?
It is tough.
And it's like, yeah, wait, like maybe Monday Night Football can save me. You got no players playing. Maybe Monday Night Football can save me. Maybe his player will fumble backwards.
Right.
And that'll be his only snap. But anyway, we're going to review, in real or fake, review the week with each position, run through some guys that had some really good games and tell you whether, you know, that's going to be real or fake. Is going to continue happening or not. Do they continue playing as an RB1 or do they not continue playing as an RB1 or you know, vice versa? You know, talk about some busts, players that, you know, maybe they continue doing that, and just highlight a few guys. So let's jump in really quickly for every position, but we'll start with quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, 32 fantasy points, QB1 on the week. Salute to you, Joe Burrow. Thanks for finally showing up. Thanks for joining the club.
Joe Burr.
Yeah, so he. I think he's a QB1 rest of the season, obviously.
Yep.
Matt Ryan, 27. He's always been a streamable option. I don't think he's going to be a QB1 on a week-to-week basis, so I'm going to continually say Matt Ryan's good games are fake.
Fake.
Josh Allen, 26. That's obvious. Trevor
That's
Lawrence.
A bad week.
Tell me about Trevor Lawrence, Rick. Real or fake? Trevor Lawrence, QB1?
I'm going to say it's kind of fake.
Oh, that's
I know.
No fun. That's no fun. Hey,
I like him, but I have him in our home league.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. You have Lamar Jackson. Get rid of him. I need him.
Well, I can trade him to you if you want.
No.
I gave you Derek Carr. You wanted Derek Carr over Trevor Lawrence. That was your choice.
Well, I mean, that's a better choice at this point. And you could have given me both.
I think you
could have just
Trevor's like
quarterback situation.
He's gonna have big weeks, but he's just gonna be inconsistent. Yeah, I think
right.
All year, and I think I said that last week when he had a poor week as well. So I'm just he's too inconsistent to start on a weekly basis, but he's a great streamer.
Mariota had a rushing touchdown this week. I think he may have had 2. I'm not sure. Didn't look at the numbers, so don't quote me on that. But that does rise his fantasy point totals. 24 this week. He continually is like a low end streaming option if you're desperate.
The 1 week I streamed him, he had 4 points.
Yeah, it's bad. So he scares me. Like, Jimmy G scares the freaking crap
Yes,
out of me.
He's exactly.
It's like, this is a good matchup, but this could be either a really good decision or a really bad decision. That's Mariota. So a QB1 definitely fake, but streaming option.
Yep.
Mahomes 21 normal. Teddy Bridgewater comes in for Miami. Offense looked like poop.
Yeah.
But Bridgewater gets 20 points. He's not going to play. So
no.
That's super fake.
Fake.
Justin Fields 2 weeks in a row now in the QB1 conversation. He was QB 13 last week.
Hey.
Justin Fields moves up to QB 8 this week. Obviously not going to happen against New England. Probably. But do we anticipate Justin Fields moving forward to put up low-end QB1 performances on a week-to-week basis and maybe build on that and become, a potential second half of the season breakout quarterback?
Yeah, I think, I wouldn't go that far. But
Bears blow.
I think he has some good games coming up, potentially, like Detroit, Atlanta, maybe the Jets. But, I'm going to say it's fake. He's got the Pats coming up, then the Cowboys. So I'm going to say it's fake. But he could have some good weeks, especially due to his rushing. Potentially you could stream him later on in the season, but he's fake.
Jimmy Garoppolo, fake. Streamable. That's fake QB. He might be able to squeak
fake.
Out a 12-12 performance. No, that's fake. 2 weeks in a row. We're talking about Bailey Zappi.
Uh-oh. Zappy fever.
Mac Jones has a very high percentage chance of playing this week, so I don't think that Bailey Zappi is going to continue being the guy. And then you have Lamar, Jalen Hurts. I would like them to finish slightly higher, but they fall into the QB1 status. Some bust guys. For some reason, there's 32 NFL teams. Oh, that's because we had some bye weeks.
We had bye weeks,
Forgive me. I forgot about the byes. So we don't have. Aaron Rodgers was trash with 11 points. I don't know.
Yep.
The Packers are gross. They're horrible.
Packers are very gross.
Real or fake?
I don't think he's a QB1, so does that count as real? I don't know how to phrase that because I 11 points is fake.
Where do you think he is rest of season? Like on a week-to-week basis?
I would probably say like he's QB 13 or 14.
So you would say this 11-point game is probably not where he's going to land most of the season?
No. But what he's been doing before this, like 17 a week, I think that's kind of what he is.
So he's a much more expensive and dangerous version of what Mariota has done all season.
Kind of. And like the last a couple of years, I've been kind of iffy on Rodgers, and he's proven me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And now this year, finally, seems like he's kind of back on that gross track. I didn't draft him in many leagues because of the Devontae Adams situation, and it looks like that's how it's playing out. But I don't know. It's Aaron Rodgers. He could get a 30-point week next. He actually probably will. He's playing Washington, so he could get a 30-point week next week, and then he's back to that QB1 conversation.
Matt Stafford is dead as a doornail at this point.
Yeah, he sucks.
He sucks
all year.
And I'm going to say that's real, and he'll continue to not be a viable quarterback. And then TB12, who I would say is probably like a top 7 or 8 quarterback rest of season, has been kind of not great.
Yeah.
13 fantasy points this week, QB 15. Him and Kyla Murray kind of underperformed this week. So, I mean, Kyler, he sucks in real life.
He was awful this game, too, and he still got 15 fantasy points because he had 100 yards rushing.
But this is like he's Jalen Hurts last year. Hopefully, with DeAndre Hopkins coming back, some of those things happening. They just traded for Robbie Anderson. I think Hollywood's going to miss some time, but all of those things, being where they are, I do think there's a good shot that a guy like Kyler Murray will continue to be okay in a QB1 for the rest of the season.
Is he potentially a good buy low option, or do you just not want to buy into the? Yeah. You just don't want to buy into.
Yeah, I mean, if you need a quarterback and you think you can get him low, then I would try. But not really. I know.
He is QB6, but it doesn't feel like he's QB6.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. If you watch the games, it does not feel like.
Oh my gosh, it's awful. Cardinals are probably in my bottom 5 teams I like watching.
But to you, Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, both continuously QB1s. They should.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm nervous about Brady and Kyler.
Fair enough.
I they're on the watch list for me.
Fair enough. Going into the next category, which is the running back position. Week 6 had some interesting guys. Deion Jackson finishes as the running back 1 in PPR leagues. He did get hurt at the end of the game. Jonathan Taylor will come back at some point, so this definitely is not a thing.
That's crazy that he was a running back 1 the whole week.
1,000% fake, but congratulations, Deion Jackson.
Fake.
And congratulations to whoever picked him up and started him. Mondre I think he's a top 10 running back in fantasy football if Damian Harris continually missing games. The big thing about Mondre and what he does for New England is that a lot of for the last 15 years or 10 years, they've had a running back that has been a pass catcher, and then they've had a second running back that has been a guy that blows people over between the tackles. LeGarrette Blount,
goal line type
White, stuff like that. So it's like, that was Harris, and that was James White, that was Harris, or whoever else was there, the speedy guy like J.J. Taylor, Brandon Bolden last year. Mondre can do both. So because of that, it provides a little bit of. I'm surprised NFL teams don't do this more. It astounds me. You are less predictable as a football team if people don't know what you're doing with your running back.
That is so true. That doesn't get talked about a lot.
Why do NFL teams continually use multiple? That is the strongest point that I've ever had on the stupid RBBC thing. It's like, let's throw as many running backs out there as possible. It's like, well, if you're going to throw a tiny guy out there, he's clearly not going to be able to run up the middle like Jonathan Taylor.
It's like I can't think of the exact example, but it might be the Colts. But there's NFL teams out there that when they bring in their small or pass catching running back, they're not running it. It's 95% chance it's a pass play.
Right.
And if you had one guy, you would be unsure every play. And you can even have 2 running backs, but just have them switch off in series. Just don't have a specific third down back or a specific running back for situations. What the Broncos were gonna do this year with Javonte and Melvin, and go 65-35 or 70-30. And have your workhorse type guy, but have him play in all situations, and then just give him a break when he needs a break.
Right, that's smarter.
And don't overuse him.
So I think it provides the Patriots a little bit of a lack of predictability, that people know when they send out this personnel package, it's not going to be run or pass. But as long as Harris is out, Mondre continues to be a top 10 play at the running back position. We told you to start him this week. We said he was going to be a top 5 running back. What did he do? Top 2. So I like that.
It's
go ahead.
I was just gonna say one last thing. It makes their play action very unpredictable. That's why their play action has been so effective the last 2 weeks. But Ramondre without Harris is a top 10 back. But when Harris comes back, I think Ramondre will come back down to earth a little bit.
McCaffrey always finishing in the top 10. Leonard Fournette, the amount of work they give him, he should be finishing in the top 10. So those two guys definitely should be here. Breece Hall starting. I think it's real. He's an RB1. I think you should rank him. And if you're in the fantasy community, you're listening to this podcast, you work for Fantasy Pros, whatever, rank him in the top 10, please, for the love of
I'm mad in the offseason I didn't rank him higher, but I'm even more mad
I am too.
in a dynasty league.
I'm disappointed in myself.
We
always buy in on these young running backs.
I know we do. I think it was just
because
like
it's the Jets, and the Jets just there's no way I could ever buy in on the Jets. You can. You love the Jets, but I know
that gives me no excuse.
4-2, still can't do it. Zach Wilson threw 110 yards. How long is that going to last? I don't know.
It's crazy because I'm a Zach Wilson guy, but right now he's probably the biggest weakness right now, outside of maybe offensive line.
But Hall's a rest of season. He's an RB1. This is real.
He is. He's absolutely. And the thing is, you know what it was? It was the Michael Carter stuff. The offense runs through Michael Carter. He's the guy.
Yep.
And now here we are 6 weeks into the season, and Breece Hall is. They still use Michael Carter, but Breece Hall is clearly the guy.
I don't know what Baltimore is doing here with the RB6 on the week. Kenyon Drake, 19 fantasy points.
We're gonna have to talk about that. That's very interesting. J.K. Dobbins only had,
I think it's fake,
5 touches this week.
Kenyon Drake's not an RB1.
No. Kenyon Drake's not. It's more about J.K. Dobbins, and
I don't know what they're doing. They were trailing, right?
That actually makes me really scared about Dobbins, though. Not gonna lie. And we were so high on him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I think this is fake for Kenyon Drake, but there is real concern for a guy like J.K. Dobbins, who will probably talk about in a second.
Correct. Agreed.
Kenneth Walker, man, he looks crispy. He looks real good. He looks like a nice crispy French fry.
Also mad, could have had him in a dynasty league, and I traded him to you for freaking Antonio Gibson because I was like, I'm in win now mode. Walker's not going to do anything this year, and then Penny freaking gets hurt out for the season, and here comes Kenneth Walker. I said I was in win now mode, and I'm 0-5 or about to be either 0-6 or 1-5, depending on what happened on Monday night. But
love it. I feel very good about this. I got a free running back.
Yeah, you did.
I love trades, man. You know what? I was feeling down, but I love making.
It's okay because in a different dynasty league, you gave me
shut the frick up
a top 5 pick and J.K. Dobbins for I don't remember Dak Prescott in a 1 quarterback league, so that's okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so we got Kenneth Walker, RB7. I think he probably will be a top 15 running back rest of the season.
Yeah, that's
I think this
real. Agreed.
Barkley always finishes in the top 10. Alvin Kamara, 18. Where you got Barkley anyway? Ranked PPR rest of the season?
Yeah, he's in my top 3.
Yeah, I have him 1.
You haven't? Well, you just traded for him, so I would assume.
Hey,
I think he's probably
a chubby for Barkley.
I don't know if he's 1, but he's him and Mccaffrey. He's right there.
Close.
He's right there. Right.
Kamara gets back to his RB1 status. I think it's the second week in a row he's had a good week.
Yeah. Hey, you were hating on the Kamara comeback takes, but here we go.
Finally back. Joe Mixon.
Yeah, he is what he is.
He should be there. Yeah, it's fine.
Mr. 16 points a week.
Zeke finally has a good week, but 15 points at this point in a PPR league. I'm not excited about.
Not excited about it.
I think this is in line with what he'll do rest of the season.
Yeah. Still only had one target, so.
Looking at the rest of the running back position, J.K. Dobbins, like we just talked about, 1.5 fantasy points, RB 55. Completely and utterly shattering hopes and dreams. I don't think that's real. I think he'll have a role, but Gus Bus isn't even back.
Right.
And it looks like a very large committee, or they're just rolling Dobbins back into the job. So
yeah, I don't know. That's what I hope it is. I'm gonna say it's fake too, but I would not start him until he starts to show otherwise.
I almost flipped on this, but I held strong and I said trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Running back 43, 2 weeks in a row. He had 3 fantasy points this week. I would guarantee that I haven't looked, so you can roast me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I would guarantee just based on eye test that Jerick McKinnon got more snaps.
I think it was at least even. I'll double check
because Clyde's.
Clyde was at 40%.
He's a better running back than 3 points. And he'll have a role. He is. He'll have a role, but based on his numbers, in terms of snap percentage and opportunity share. Like, things weren't looking too good early in the season for that, and now. And it was just a matter of time before it kind of caught up to him, and now it has. So I think this is fake in terms of 3 points because I think he's an RB2 rest of the season, but I don't think that he can provide.
McKinnon had a 43% snap percentage, and Clyde had a 42% snap percentage.
Pacheco came in probably for like 10 to 15 snaps too.
Yeah, he did.
10 to 15%.
Some guys that were even lower though. Jeff Wilson, 1 fantasy point.
I think I got negative fantasy points from Jeff Wilson. Not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, 0. Well, I got 0.5. I don't know.
Yeah,
what it said for you, but yeah, that's really gross. So the Jeff Wilson hype train looks like it has ended. And Kareem Hunt 1 fantasy point against the Pats.
Oh, I missed that name.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt 1 fantasy point versus the Pats. Very gross.
We have James Robinson, 6.5 fantasy points.
Oh, interesting that
it's shifting.
Seems like he's not an RB1, huh?
Hold on a second. We're taking too much time on this again. But I want to say James Robinson sucks. He actually was pretty efficient today.
He's not bad.
4 yards a carry.
Yeah,
but I will say,
not ETN though.
He had a 4 yards a carry, right? And they're just like, you know what? Get in there, James. Get in there and keep running it for 1 yard. Keep going. You can do it. You can do it. And then ETN comes in and runs it for 10 yards a carry. You know, in the last 2 weeks, he's averaging 10 yards a carry? In the last 2 weeks. That's 2 football games.
Yeah.
What are we doing with James Robinson? Can somebody smack Doug Peterson upside the head and say you have a more talented player that you should probably give 20 touches a game to? I'm so done. With that being said, he outscored James Robinson, so it really doesn't matter from a fantasy perspective.
I love the passion here, bro. I agree. ETN, they should be splitting it. Oh, and by the way, I don't know. Did you watch any of this game?
I did. But offhand because it was a 1 o'clock game. But
so you might have missed this then. There was it wasn't ETN and it wasn't James Robinson and it wasn't the Ogu or whatever the other guy is. It was their 4th running back. I think is it JaMychal Hasty?
JaMychal Hasty
had like a 60-yard touchdown run. You
mean Jamal Agnew? Is that who you're talking about?
Yes, JaMychal Hasty had a 61-yard touchdown run for the Jaguars.
Wow.
So it wasn't even Robinson or ETN. I saw it and I was like, oh, was that ETN? Nope, JaMychal Hasty. So that would grind your gears really bad if you saw that live.
I did see it live. But I'm okay with it because it was a weird play. They sent an all-out blitz. They put Hasty in there, ran him. I think it was like 2nd and 1. And and it just, the play was...
He had 2 other carries for -4 yards. So, but yeah, ETN is clearly the better guy, I think. And it's not even really like a knock on Robinson. ETN is just a really talented player, and Robinson is he's solid, right? He's like a solid
Gets a job.
Solid RB. I think like they should use this the way the Broncos were using Javonte and Melvin, where it was like a 65-35, and ETN should be in the Javonte role.
Yep, 1,000%. Quickly, some other guys. Aaron Jones, 7 fantasy points. That's fake. Nick Chubb, 8 fantasy points. Patriots played a really good run defense against him. That is fake. David Montgomery, he's going to be an RB2 rest of the season, and this performance is a low-end RB2 performance, so I would say this is right in line. 10 to 11, 12 fantasy points is probably what you're going to get out of Monty rest of season.
It's really kind of like it's a low-end RB2, a high-end RB3, but
right.
It is what
So anyway, I would say that's real. All right, let's move to the wide receiver position. Jamar Chase, wide receiver 1, 32 fantasy points. Stefon Diggs, wide receiver 2, 30 fantasy points. Tyreek Hill, 29 fantasy points. These top guys really delivering. The big dogs. Brandon Ayuk, right after I trade him, he's like, you know what? I'm not on Morgan's fantasy team anymore.
I kind of 28. I saw that and I kind of chuckled a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry, bro. And it was just like, it's just your luck.
I do love Brandon Ayuk, but I think this is fake because I think he's a low-end wide receiver.
Yeah, it's fake too. And one of the things we liked about Ayuk was like the potential of Trey Lance. Like Garoppolo's not going to throw 300 yards every week and multiple touchdowns. Like it's just not happening. So
Michael Pittman, finally, 24
there we go.
Points.
Great
26
week.
Fantasy points, I should say, in PPR.
Love it.
Claypool, this is fake, but he did have a nice week this week.
He did. It's the Trubisky thing, dude. With Pickett out, although last week Pickett did target him, but when he was out there, Mitch Trubisky, so Pickett got injured in the game with a concussion.
Yep.
And Trubisky came in the third quarter, and he was chucking it down the field to Claypool. So
chucking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to say this is fake. Juju on a week-to-week basis
finally showed up.
He has a ceiling where he could ascend into a wide receiver 1, low end on a week-to-week basis kind of status, but I don't think that's going to happen just watching the Chiefs. Maybe somebody will rise into that situation, but he did catch a touchdown. That's kind of what propelled this 22 points. So we'll see. We'll see if it continues, but I'm going to say for right now, it's
fake to me.
Yeah, Tyquan Thornton.
Love it.
I do love it. I do love it. We'll talk about him later. But for right now, wide receiver 1, obviously, that's probably fake.
That's fake. Yeah.
With Mac Jones, I do think he has a higher ceiling, though. Paris Campbell, 18. That's fake. Dante Pettis, 18 for the Browns. The Bears. That's fake. A.J. Brown, normal, 17 points.
Yep.
And then Allen Lazard, not Allen Robinson. His name is right next to him, though. Allen Lazard had...
he's actually 17. Been really good this year.
Yeah, he's been good. He's been their number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's wide receiver 1, but I think that he's a good wide receiver 2 for your team.
Yeah, he's definitely like low end. He's a wide receiver 2 or at least a high-end flex every week.
After we all told you to get rid of Allen Robinson...
17 fantasy points.
Yeah, he gets 17 fantasy points. What the
still wasn't like crazy though. He still hasn't had more than 6 targets all year. He still only had 6 targets.
Yeah.
He just caught a touchdown and then had a big reception. So it was really 2 plays. But so I'm not back on the A-Rob train just yet. He's still gross to me. Still wouldn't be starting him.
Okay. Rapid fire.
Okay.
Trying to find some names here. It look like there's a lot of busts this week.
Some busts.
Rapid fire busts.
Okay. I started Garrett Wilson. He got me 2 fantasy points. Oh, thanks, Zach Wilson.
Drake London, 7 points.
Yep.
I think that's real.
I think that's real too, but he's still. I think he had 4 targets, which led the team. So
not a lot of busts this week. Deontay Johnson, 8 points. Mike Evans, 8 points.
DJ Moore, 3 points. Is he droppable?
No, God, no. God, would you hold off on what the hell? Drop him? What if
he's
they
trade
him?
Wide receiver 51.
Then you're looking like your
he's wide receiver 50. He's
you got your hands in your pants. They trade him away to a good football team, and all of a sudden you got your hands in your pants. You're like, I dropped him. Like,
that's the only reason to keep him though, because if he stays on the Panthers, he's droppable.
He's not worth starting at this point. You can say that.
I'm so freaking out on DJ Moore.
He's so mad. Oh God, it's week 6. We're starting.
Oh, we have somewhat of breaking news. Should I?
Oh.
Do you still have the sound?
Yeah, sure. Hopefully I hit the right one.
Breaking news.
Hurts my head.
Oh my gosh, that's loud. People already know this if they're listening to the show, but Carson Wentz is expected to be out 4 to 6 weeks with a hand injury. So expect either Taylor Heineke or Sam Howell to start for the Commanders. I'd love that. Although that screws is McLaurin and Curtis Samuel and like I don't know. It's not like Wentz was doing that good though. So
yeah,
I don't know if it screws those guys.
All right, so let's move to tight ends and talk about them quickly. The top 10 tight ends, Gesicki has a good week. I think this is like I said, this is gonna happen on time to time. Like Gesicki's a good tight end.
He has 5 bad weeks and then gets 25.
It's just what's going to happen. And then I think with Tua coming back, I don't think that they're going to make the tight end a good. So this is fake. Andrews, Kelsey, obviously going to be top tight ends on the week. I'm so mad. There's so many things I decided to do this week because I had some bye weeks and I indecisive. And I picked up, Robert Tanyen, put him in my starting line. I said, no, I can't do that. Can't do that. Tanyen's burned too many times. Dropped him. 19 fantasy points. Good news for me.
And about my Tanyen takes, he might have sucked most of the season, but he's still the tight end 9.
Yeah,
in PPR.
Yikes! George Kittle had 16 normal. Hunter Henry had 16. I am starting to see a shift in the Patriots. Maybe on the waiver wire show we can talk about talk about this.
So you think it's real?
I think this is real. I think the Patriots are targeting the tight end position more. When Mac gets back, Hunter Henry is going to be back to tight end status similar to what he did last year.
Okay.
So that we'll talk about that in a second.
I'm more nervous about that, but continue.
Daniel Bellinger, so fake. So fake it's not.
Yeah, that's
funny.
really fake.
Jake Ferguson, that's like we need Dalton Schultz back, please. And then Zach Ertz and Dawson Knox on the week, both of those guys. Knox actually finally having a good week. But the biggest thing that we need to talk about is Kyle Pitts catching his second career touchdown.
That's crazy to say out loud. His second career touchdown.
And he only had 10 points.
Yeah. 3 targets. I said this to you before the show. The Falcons had 14 pass attempts.
But if you're a Kyle Pitts owner, you feel good? You're like happy about that? You're like, yes.
Honestly, yeah, I would take 10 points for my tight end. That's how bad it's been, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good situation.
He was on a lot of people's bench this week, though. So,
and then there wasn't too many busts at the tight end position, unless you were really in on Taysom.
Yeah,
he did not have a good week this week. So
4 fantasy points. Dallas Goedert only had 4 fantasy points.
Yeah, they tried to get him the ball a couple of times, but AJ Brown was open.
Does Tyler Higbee count as a bust? He's been
in
a lot of people's lineups. He had 1 fantasy point.
I mean, he busted for you if you started him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, those are the tight ends. That's it. That's what happened this week. Very interesting, very intriguing. We're going to jump into the waiver portion of our program as normal. Rick will pick a guy. I'll pick a guy. And then
I think I went first last week, so.
Yeah, I guess it's me. I hate when I have to pick.
While you think about who you're going to choose, I'm just going to say we didn't talk about the Seahawks receivers. I finally had the nerve to say Tyler Lockett was a sell on our buys and sells. And Lockett blew chunks this week. I think he had like 4 points.
Oh, so he's not Hot Lockett anymore.
Oh my gosh, no, he didn't. Oh yeah, no, he did. He had 3.7 fantasy points.
He's
which
like,
sucks.
oh no, he didn't bust. Oh wait, never mind, he did bust.
And then DK Metcalf only had 5 points as well. So the Seahawks receivers getting back down to earth.
Okay, so if I had to pick one quarterback to stream this week, and I think we'll play a game with quarterback every week, where we pick one where we want to buy and hold.
Okay.
Young guy. And then one guy that we're going to stream. So my buy and hold is Justin Fields, same as last week. And then Matty Ice is my stream this week. He's playing Washington. I really don't want to buy into this guy, the week that he's going out after a big week and that doesn't usually line up, but he does have a Washington, and so it's tough. But if you need a stream, maybe Matt Ryan.
Okay. That would probably be my choice. Oh gosh, dude, the streaming market is so disgusting. There might be guys who are available in your league that's not available in most leagues, and if that's the case, take advantage. But someone who's available in most leagues that you could stream as a gross option this week is Daniel Jones, playing against the Jaguars, who had a pretty decent defense, but last week Matt Ryan threw for almost 400 yards against them. So I know Daniel Jones has only had 1 game this year with over 200 passing yards, but he has been a rushing machine. Mm-hmm. He has 2 rushing touchdowns and over 230 rushing yards this season. I think he is capable of getting you 15 to 20 points against the Jaguars, but it's a gross option. I want to see who's out there for you. And then quickly, quarterback, I might consider stashing and maybe even playing if he's healthy and ready to go. As a young gun, a very deep option, but Kenny Pickett, he has a lot of talent around him. In just 1/2 against the Jets, he had 15 fantasy points. Against the Bills, it was a horrible matchup, but he threw the ball 52 times, 13 fantasy points, which isn't good, but against the Bills, kind of impressive. And then against the Bucs, he only played a half again. He got injured in the start of the third quarter. He only had 8 fantasy points, but he was on pace for 16 fantasy points against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another really good defense. He's got Miami this week, who has not been a great defense. So if he does play, could be a deep potential option for you.
Okay. Sounds good. Moving to the running back position. There's always some interesting guys. I think the main one that I would take away is Rashad White, who I'm surprised, he's been on this show multiple times. I'm surprised he has not been picked up, not because we're recommending it, but that people are not seeing this happen. But Rashad White owned in 30% of leagues. You're seeing him kind of, not really. He's been getting the same consistent amount of work, but he's getting pass catching work. So they want to use him in the air. And they're just pounding Lenny right into the ground.
Yep.
So I think this is a handcuff.
That's the bigger one is, I think, like with the Fournette thing, like he's getting like 25 touches a game, and like, is it going to last all year? I mean, it's lasted through 6 weeks, so who knows? But he's a great handcuff option, but he doesn't really have a lot of standalone value at this point, but he should be owned.
I wouldn't put a whole ton of waiver budget on him. But
there's really no running backs that are like.
Yeah, I would say Rashad White is probably the best pickup for the week, but.
Yeah. Man, I'm going to say this knowing that there's no good running backs. I think White would probably be the best pickup, but even him, he's not like.
No, it's not sexy.
You're not going out of your way and throwing like $100 on him. You're just picking him up if he's available. I'm going to say Caleb Huntley of the Atlanta Falcons. Super gross, but he did, I think last week, I want to say had like 14 carries. I'm going to double check his numbers real quick. And then I think this week too, he had a decent amount of carries and he was involved. So yeah, this week he had 16 carries, was awful in those carries. He only had 59 yards, but played against San Francisco. So if he's going to get 16 carries a week while Cordell Patterson is out, him and Tyler Algier kind of split, and Algier's probably owned in a league. They are playing the Bengals this week. It's a much easier matchup than San Francisco. If he gets 16 carries again, you could see some more fantasy production. Only had 6 points this week, but again, tough matchup against San Francisco. If he gets the same workload against an easier matchup, could be worth a roster spot if you're in need of a running back desperately.
One guy that I do want to note, who is a deeper ad. There has been a lot of news coming out of, and I don't know how Hendo played. I have to look at Daryl Henderson.
He was okay. 13 fantasy points, I think.
Okay. Yeah, 3.58 yards a carry, so pretty efficient with his efficiency.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is they're talking about, they gave Cam Akers the week off because they said they were dealing with some internal things with him. And then a report came out that said that, I think it was Rappaport said he would be surprised if they played another game for the
Jay Glazer, I think, was on it first, and he said that he expects him to get traded. And then Rappaport followed up by saying he thinks it's his last game. He's played his last game.
Yeah, so Cam Akers is probably on the move. And I had a massive conspiracy theory that there is a possibility that they deal Akers as part of a package to get Christian McCaffrey because they're one of the teams interested in
that. Was actually a rumor.
So if that does happen, then this would be more of a lateral move. Not a lateral move for the NFL, obviously. Getting McCaffrey is way better than having Cam Akers, but in terms of like fantasy ownership, like if you have Christian McCaffrey, he's going to get utilized the same way he was in Carolina for the most part.
Yeah.
And then if Cam Akers goes to Carolina, he would instantly, I would imagine, become the number one running back on that football team. So if you have either one of these guys and that trade were to go through, then I don't think anything changes from a fantasy perspective at that point. But excuse me, if Cam Akers just gets traded, I think Kyron Williams is a good. Oh my God, what's happening to my voice?
It's just hitting you all at once.
It's just hitting me all at once. Kyron Williams, I think, is a good ad. They drafted him this year, rookie running back. I believe he's a rookie, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah, he's been injured too. He missed he's missed the last couple of weeks, but he should be coming back very soon, I think.
Thank you for saving me. I don't know what's happening.
No problem. In the next couple of weeks. So he is a good ad. It's a very interesting ad, but we're gonna have to see, because if the Rams trade Akers for like McCaffrey or something, then he becomes useless.
Yes, yeah, right.
But if they're just done with Akers and they roll with Henderson, then they're gonna try to give Williams some work. So it's definitely an interesting ad, someone you could keep your eye on for deeper leagues.
Yeah, I definitely like. He's a guy that I don't want to run out and add him yet.
Yeah,
just because of like the amount of time I would have to. I need a water, man. I drank all my waters pre-show. Yeah, can you start wide receivers? I gotta go get a water.
Yeah, I got you, bro. So the wide receiver position, I know there's one guy that you wanted to talk about, so I'll probably leave that out. Um, I'm gonna say Alec Pierce is gonna be my guy. Hopefully that wasn't Morgan's, but Alec Pierce, we had talked about him actually as a start on our last show, and Morgan was the one driving the train for it, but he ended up working out. He was a great start, or I would say a good start at least. He had a pretty good week. You got your water.
Who were you
I don't know if this
about?
was the guy that you want to talk about, but I said Alex Pierce as my ad of the week at wide receiver.
Did he have another good week?
Yeah, he had a decent week. He had the game-winning touchdown. So they were losing late in the fourth quarter, and he had like a 40-yard touchdown to win the game.
Dude's a stud. 12, 15, 13 in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. The only thing that concerns me, though, is targets. I think Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman had more targets than him this week. But he's still producing at a pretty high level, dude. Last 4 weeks, been pretty much a double-digit fantasy points. If he's still available in your league, I don't know why he should be added. He still had 7 targets, which actually is pretty good.
Yeah.
And he's got some easy matchups, too, next couple weeks, Tennessee, Washington. Mm-hmm. He honestly is almost at the point now where he might be like a flex option, too. Not just like rostered, but you could be starting him on a week-to-week basis at a flex.
Yeah, no.
If you need to.
It was not Alec Pierce.
Okay, yeah. That's what I thought it was someone else.
Yeah.
Which is why I said Alec Pierce.
The other thing is, too, I don't know if you said Wandale.
I did not mention
Rondale. But they traded for Robbie Anderson. Don't know where that's going to go, but I would imagine Robbie Anderson, if he's on your waiver wire, which I haven't checked.
Probably is.
I haven't checked in our home league. I need to do that. But if Robbie Anderson is available, because
he is available in our league.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
I would go pick him up because I don't know, like, obviously Hopkins is coming back this week, week 7. This is his first week back.
Yep, Hopkins will play this week.
If Robbie Anderson comes in and even gets like 7 targets, 8 targets a game, the efficiency that, what's his name was having, Hollywood Brown was having, I think Robbie Anderson
think he will, though, because of the D-Hop thing.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. But as a speculative, we don't really know.
He should still, he should be on rosters though.
Yeah, so I would pick him up. But Rondale also becomes interesting as well because the situation there is interesting. I was gonna say Gallup is kind of blown. I'm not gonna lie, he's kind of sucked, and I don't know if that's because of Dak not being there.
I think it's a little bit of both. He also had a really bad matchup this week, and I think he was on our sit show, wasn't he?
Yes.
So like. I would still be, if he sucks this week though against Detroit with Dak back, I think then he's worthless. But I actually like him this week, but we'll see.
One of my stash guys in leagues was Wandale Robinson. I liked finding these like little rookie wide receivers that no one has on their team that are finally getting an opportunity to come in and play, or they got hurt or something. Wandale's one of those guys because there's a potential for breakout. Jameson Williams obviously there. We've already seen Jahan Dotson. I don't know that there's like I think he's going to be a great NFL wide receiver at some point.
Yeah,
but as far as
Carson with the Carson Wentz injury too, like I don't know, is he?
Yeah, it's just I think there's a lot of bad things going on there. So
yeah.
But the guy I wanted to mention, and this is an interesting one too, a little bit of a stash worthy play. I don't know what your feelings are on Sky Moore, Rick, but I feel like as soon as Sky Moore has a big game, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, Sky Moore becomes their receiver. And his snap percentages have been increasing, which is good. Not a lot, but they've been getting him on the field more. If he does have a breakout game and starts showing that he can have success with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback and all that stuff, then I think you want to get ahead of the Sky Moore breakout, because I think of all of these wide receivers we talked about, Wandale Robinson doesn't have a quarterback. Jameson Williams has a meh quarterback. Sky Moore has probably the best quarterback in the NFL. And if he starts having success with Patrick Mahomes, I think this is a guy you're going to want to have. So I'm in on Sky Moore from that perspective, but he hasn't had any snaps or hasn't really done anything as of late.
Yeah, I don't know. Sky Moore's kind of like, I get what you're saying, and I do agree with you. Like, if he has a big game, it's over. But I don't know if
just
it's
want to
gonna
get
happen.
ahead of the big game, and every time I pick him up, it doesn't happen. So
I don't feel like it's gonna happen anytime soon. If it does happen, it's gonna happen towards the end of the year. So
okay, fair enough. But the guy I did want to talk about, my guy, the main selection for me, Tyquan Thornton.
Here it is. The Patriots finally getting talked about in a positive way for fantasy football.
He had a touchdown in the red area.
Yep.
And he had it was a receiving touchdown. Yeah, first touchdown of his career receiving. And then he had a rushing touchdown in the game. So that is a majority of his 21 fantasy points. He hasn't looked too hyper efficient through the air in terms of like air yards and stuff like that. They really haven't tried to target him down the field yet. And I don't think that will change as long as Bailey Zappi is the quarterback for the Patriots. But I think when Mac gets back, this is the type of player that can create separation downfield where Mac can see a guy and hit a guy that's open. And so I think when Mac gets back, that will make Tyquan Thornton better. I want to see what his target share looks like on a week-to-week basis before I'm like, okay, I'm really sold. And there's we live in New England, so we got Pats fans up in this league, and Tyquan's probably going to go for a hell of a lot of waiver budget in our league.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be like dump city. So if you're in a normal league, I don't even think Tyquan Thornton will have a claim. If you have a Pats fan, there will be a claim and there will be waiver budget on it, guaranteed. But I do like Tyquan Thornton rest of the season. I think he's got good upside, and Debo plays a different role for San Francisco in terms of what they use him to do as the wide back. Like they physically hand him the ball, so this is not a good comparison. But I think what Miami does with Waddle, with those end around handoffs and stuff like that. That stuff is how the Patriots are going to use Tyquan a lot to get him in space. They like to throw him little screen passes to set up big runs because if they can get the blocking and get him in space, he's just going to light people up with his speed. So I think Tyquan Thornton has a potential to be really good. It just depends on when Mac gets back, how much they utilize him, and how much they actually want to give him opportunity. So I think he's worth a good stash to see where it goes with Tyquan. Another one of those rookies that could develop into something later in the season. What I'm looking for right now, and I don't think this will repeat, but is a wide receiver that's like Amon-Ra last year, where Amon-Ra started the season not great. If you picked him up in a redraft league or drafted him super late, you probably dropped him and he was a waiver wire wide receiver. And then after week 6, 7, 8, or 9, he started to break out, started to have really great games. After week 10, it was like 20-point games every single week in PPR. So I'm looking for a guy that can do that. That's why I keep holding Sky Moore, because he's in a really good offense. And I think there's a chance he could do that. But I think there's an outside chance that Tyquan could start doing that with Mac Jones at quarterback, because they really don't have anyone that creates separation. And if Tyquan can do that, it's going to be big.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I still wouldn't put a ton of waiver budget on him.
Fair enough. How much waiver budget do you think is going to go in our league for?
Probably at least $30.
Yeah.
By somebody, Miles.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we got Robert Tanyen at the tight end position. Evan Ingram, also a decent ad. I'm going to have to take as my guy. I'm going to probably take Evan Ingram. I keep picking these Jacksonville tight ends, and I don't like it, but Ingram's getting targeted, so.
Yeah, honestly, Ingram, the last 2 weeks, 10 targets, 6 targets. Yeah, I mean, 9 fantasy points. It's not anything special, but from the tight end position, if you're getting 9 fantasy points a week, which is super gross, but that's
that's the best
15.
You're going to get.
That's top
outside
15
of Kelsey
fantasy.
and Andrews.
Yeah, it's at least in the same vicinity as everybody else. I'm going to say Tanyen. He's not getting 10 targets a week or whatever he got this week.
Yeah.
I think he got 12 targets, 10 catches. That's not happening. But with with the injury to Randall Cobb got hurt in this game. Sammy Watkins is on IR. Outside of Lazard and Romeo Dobbs, or Dubes, whatever you want to say, Christian Watson has been battling injuries as well. So Tanyen's kind of like the third option, at least in the passing game. And he only has one touchdown this year, which in the past has been his calling card. Like his last full season in 2020, he had 11 touchdowns. So I think he could get some more touchdowns as the season goes forward. Last 4 weeks, 9 fantasy points, 10 fantasy points, 6 fantasy points, 19. For a tight end, that's pretty good. He's tight end 9 on the season in PPR. If he's available in your league, I would pick him up.
Fair enough. All right. There you go. It's always going to be lengthy. I think this is just our long show of the week. So forgive us.
It might be.
I'm going to change the name to like week whatever recap. Week
slash waivers.
Yeah, slash waivers. But anyway, we got Thursday night preview tomorrow. Check it out. See you later, guys.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.